Well, people think, or at least used to think, that, well, personal finance is, well, you got to hire an advisor, cut up them credit cards, balance your checkbook, got to make a budget. No, 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 no. Instead of making a budget, which usually lists nothing but necessities, how about prioritize your annual savings? Balancing your checkbook isn't necessary today because you can do it online. And secondly, with 8 checks, that would be 1,000 combinations. And do keep your credit cards. You can now get 5% cash back instead of those measly 1% restricted airline points. And finally, be your own advisor, saving 1 or 2%. Heck, 2% will double the amount if you keep it in 40 years. Let's start with compounding. Yes, we're going to use tables. And, it's just the reciprocal of the future value. Here's a nice little shortcut. If the rate times the year makes 72, then you have something that doubles or has a present value of 1/2. A perpetuity, perpetual annuity, it's just the reciprocal of the going yield. Think about it. $100 makes 7%. What's the value of $7 at 7%? Now you divide, you get back 100. Then there's an annuity. We will use the table, but it's also, if you think about it, it's the portion of a perpetuity not received. Look, here's a graphic. See, perpetuity is the reciprocal, and if you subtract the present value, bam, you got the annuity. And talk about that compounding. That Superman comic book sold for $10 million? It's like paying off your credit card on an after-tax basis. And if you save for 40 years instead of 30, you'll double the amount at the end. And if you save that 2%, like no load, no advisor fee mutual funds, you can double again. That's 4 times as much. We do live in an after-tax world, and let's analyze our investments and debt together. Don't pay the debts off first, making everything after tax. Your traditional IRA gets the same return as a Roth if the tax rates are the same going in and out. Your pension defers the tax, so you want to do a present value analysis. And qualified dividends on USA stocks save 9%, so that's a bonus to look out for. This graphic shows the various present values as subgroupings by various ages, by various discount rates. You can see it. A casino and insurance company appear to be opposites, but they're not. Small payments regular in, large random payouts back. And why do people do that? Well, they evaluate something called expected utility. One function that's very well behaved is the exponent one. You can do that in Excel. People usually evaluate losses more severely than do gains. And so if you take the expected utility, in this graph here you can see an example, the certainty equivalent, that is, had it been not a gamble, is lower, and thus you'd pay a premium to avoid it. In this example, maybe about $5. Well, some other tips are to evaluate insurance. Take the differences in deductions and divide them by the premium. It'll tell you the number of years to break even. A little shopping tip I like is maybe for every $2,000 you would allocate an hour, or maybe that's a minute for every $30. Well, figures don't lie, but boy, them liars sure do figure. Yes, I'm talking about car salesmen. If you take a $36,000 car, 0% financing across 6 years, $600 a month, and you give $5,000 discount, of course that's with financing at 6%, they have the same payments. Oh, by the way, there's something called RMD, required minimum distributions. They start at 73, applying to pensions if you're no longer working, and likewise to your traditional IRA. Starts low, about 4%, rises to about 1/2 when you reach 100. Finally, here's an overlooked one that's relevant. It's the economic order quantity. Whether you're buying dog food or horse food or taking money out of the ATM, well, it's an equation. I like to use the mnemonic King Tut overseas, 2 times the usage times the transaction divided by the carrying cost. Here's an example for you. And it turns out it's the equation which minimizes the cost of carrying, see that's that straight line, and the cost of ordering, that's that hyperbolic line, and it's right at the minimum. And you get an optimal answer if the 2 components cross and are equal. Hey, you're up to date with Dr. C.